Hey y'all, it's Lindsay. I have been slapped by the sun. We were traveling. I'm back home in my own house. I'm ready to get back into my normal rhythm and routine. And I'm gonna do a what I eat in a day video to sort of help me focus on that today. I want to thank today's sponsor, which is LMNT, but we'll get into that in a few minutes. Let me show you how I started my day with breakfast. Starting the day off with a really simple breakfast, just to get back in the swing of things. I have 3 eggs with some Redmond real salt. I scrambled those up, cooked them in a skillet with about half a tablespoon of butter, and I'm just going to leave it at that. And then I am actually working on a cup of coffee. We were gone for about a week. My husband is a pilot and he gets to travel a whole variety of different places. One of the places he gets to travel to semi-regularly is the Caymans. And this work trip was to the Caymans. We were able to line up our schedules and my mother's schedule to be able to get her to come and stay with our kids. And then I got to fly and meet up with him out there in the Caymans. That's why all of the sun slappedness has happened. But it was worth it. It was totally worth it. My husband and I have been following a low carb, keto friendly way of life for years now. In the very beginning, it was a challenge. You're learning new rules. You're trying to understand how food is impacting your body. You're trying to understand what that food source is made of. Is it carbs, fat? Is it protein? What is this thing? You're trying to understand the basics. And doing that in your own home is challenging enough, but then trying to take that understanding and apply it in an external situation like a restaurant or while traveling can be a little bit intimidating and overwhelming. If you are new to a keto-friendly way of life, I would strongly encourage you to do those practice things, to try to go out and exercise those skills in an unfamiliar environment so that you can just build up that muscle. Because we have been doing this for such a long time, and because we do travel often, whether it's to see family, to get to do fun little trips like what we just did in the Caymans, or going on mission trips with our church, regardless, we do travel fairly often, so we have had a lot of experience exercising our food muscles, our lifestyle muscles. And I thought I would give you some of the practices that I do when I first sit down in a restaurant. First and foremost, I will focus on finding animal protein and what vegetables are on the menu. I will immediately go to the entree section of a menu and just start to familiarize myself. If it is a seafood restaurant, I know that I'm going to wind up with a piece of fish probably, and I'm going to automatically choose things like grilled, blackened, or jerk seasoning, doing my best to avoid anything fried because that's going to add unnecessary carbs, and I don't really find that it adds to the experience. Another thing I'm gonna do is I am going to ask questions. If I don't understand what something on a menu might be, I'm going to ask my server, hey, can you tell me about this dish? Or does this come breaded? Or does this have pasta as a side dish? Are there potatoes on the side? Asking those questions gives your server the opportunity to get to know you a little bit and sort of understand what direction you are trying to take this meal so that they can give you a better experience overall. If after scouring that menu, you don't see something that you want and that fits within the parameters you have set for yourself, talk to your server. Tell them that you're avoiding the rice, the pasta, the noodles, and that you're trying to avoid things that are battered and fried or breaded and fried. Instead, ask if you can have something blackened or grilled. If you see something that is breaded, ask if they can make it like jerk seasoned instead, as opposed to just resigning yourself to eating the breading. It never hurts to ask. And my personal experience is that oftentimes these servers want to give you what you want so that your experience is enjoyable. My final piece of advice is to go into a restaurant with confidence. Confidently ask for what you want, confidently say, I do not want these things. And if something comes out that you do not want, confidently respond to your server, obviously in a very kind way, saying, I don't want that pasta. I don't want those potatoes. This is not going to be good for me. And allow them the opportunity to resolve the issue with you as opposed to just submitting to, well, I guess I'm gonna have to eat around this rice, even though it's not what I want. Be confident in the choices that you make when you are out and about. And as a slight bonus here, if you do wind up eating something that you did not intend to eat, recognize that the very next time that you put food in your mouth, you have the opportunity to start all over again. I am in the process of trying to make up some lunch really quickly. Let me show you what I got going on here. I have some egg wrap batter that I just blended up. I'm letting that thicken for just a few minutes. I've got a skillet over here that is heating up, and let's turn you around there. The main ingredient here are eggs. The second main ingredient is psyllium husk. Psyllium husk is one of those sort of specialty ingredients that is very versatile and you can do so much with. And so I rather enjoy using it. I use the Now brand. I'll link it down below in the description box. Some psyllium husks will turn purple when you apply heat to them. It can be a little unnerving and not quite as appetizing for me when I'm trying to go for more of a light yellow corn tortilla look to my food. And yeah, I have found that that brand does not turn purple when I apply heat, so I strongly recommend that one. My lunch is ready. I have my egg wraps. Inside each one, I put some of my homemade mayonnaise, a slice of ham, some pepper jack cheese, and some iceberg lettuce, little sprinkle of some Redmond salt, because iceberg lettuce has no flavor but has loads of texture, so that's why that is in there. I'll wrap that up here in a second. And I will also have a mango bubbly. Lunch was tasty, kind of a throwback to things I used to do when I was at the very beginning of my adventure in a keto-friendly way of life. I used to buy the Santa Fe Tortilla Company tortillas that were super low carb and use those all the time. My husband still uses those, and the only place we can find them is Sam's Club, which is like a solid 20 to 30 minute drive depending on traffic for us. So I don't tend to rely as heavily on those. Using the egg wraps is a much simpler way for me to get a wrap without having to make a trip or store things in the freezer. So that works out really beautifully for me. Like I said, my husband still uses them. They're tasty, but they also do have gluten in them. So if you are gluten sensitive, it's not a viable option for you. We have a little more work to do in the lesson department. So I'm gonna go manage that and see you when I have something else. Can I just tell you how satisfying it is as a grown-up to be able to operate the copy machine doing front and back copies and getting the appropriate orientation for the pages correct on the first try after you haven't done it in a little while. Going back for a minute to that previous conversation we had regarding some of the little techniques I use to eat in a low carb keto friendly way while we're traveling, or just staying mindful of what makes me feel well while we're out of our own environment, I wanted to talk about the fact that making better choices is really simple these days, and I would argue the hardest place we dealt with trying to find low carb friendly options was actually in Sicily. I mean, they have a heavy pasta sort of base on their fare. So, you know, it is not easy everywhere you go. But one thing that is pretty simple while you're traveling is getting your electrolytes correct when you're using things like LMNT. LMNT is a super travel friendly electrolyte drink mix coming in these awesome single serving packets, and it is delicious. I love having this in my travel gear whenever I go anywhere. I toss a couple of these in my purse, and one of the beauties behind the LMNT product is that it gives you all of the electrolytes you require without any of the junk. There is no sugar. These are sweetened with stevia unless you choose the raw unflavored version, and then there's no stevia in that. This has a science-backed formula of 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium to help replenish your body, whether you are in your own home or you're on the go. Their fruity flavors are really refreshing. They've got a couple of spicy flavors with that mango chili and lemon habanero. I love those. They give you a kick in the mouth. It's delightful. But today I'm feeling a cup of decaf coffee, so I'm gonna choose the caramel chocolate flavor to give a little bit of a caramely mocha flavor to that coffee. Right now, LMNT is offering my viewers a free sample pack with any order on the LMNT website. You'll get 8 single serving packets of LMNT so you can try out their main flavors, all of the fruity ones, so good, and that mango chili is in there too. You can try them all out, decide which one is your favorite, or you can pass them along to a friend who may need some quality electrolytes in their life. You can get yours today at drinkelement.com/LindseyM. This offer is exclusive, so you can either click the link down in my description box below or type in DRINKLMNT.com/LindseyM to grab yours today. Oh, that caramel is so good. Thank you again to LMNT for sponsoring today's video. It's mid-afternoon and I finished all of my decaf coffee. I am debating whether or not I want to add a couple ounces of hot water to this to swirl around and get the last little bits of the chocolatey, caramely goodness out of here because I don't want to waste a drop. However, I'm going to set it aside and move forward. If you're new here, I would absolutely love for you to hit that subscribe button and stick around a while. I now face the challenge of having to figure out dinner after having traveled. Before I left, I loaded the fridge, the pantry was stocked, everything was good to go, and like the good stewards of the food that my mom and children are, they ate through all the fresh things, which I think is great. That also means that I now need to go hunt in the freezers to find something to eat tonight because literally I have 2 hours before they start chirping at me for food. For some reason, people in this house like to eat the food. I don't really have any clear direction on where I want to go with dinner tonight. I haven't cooked in 6 days, so I feel like my inspiration is a little bit like fleeting at the moment. I think I'm gonna go stand in front of the freezer and just like, you know, just kind of like imagine what should I eat tonight. We do have some activities to be at tonight, so I need to also create things that will be consumed readily by even the tiniest of humans. I'll be back. Inspiration struck rapidly. I'm gonna make chicken patties. I have a video on my channel here showing you how I do that. I normally will add a couple of different vegetables into the chicken patty mixture because it helps keep the juiciness to the chicken. However, I don't have all of those on hand. I'm just gonna kind of make do with what I have and they'll be delightful. My family gobbles these up every time I make them. I try to make them in a really large like freezer batch and they're gone. 2 days tops. So I know that they'll eat those quickly. I think I may also make a cauliflower like mac and cheese alongside that and I'm gonna call that good. Dinner plate is served. It looks all the same color except for the green. Oh dear. Anyway, so here are my chicken patties. I went with 5 tonight. I have some of my cheesy cauliflower, kind of like a pseudo mac and cheese. For some crunchy texture, I have some celery and some cucumber. And then I went with some of the G. Hughes sugar-free dipping sauce. It's the famous Cluckin'. It's their version of the Chick-fil-A sauce. This does have 1 tablespoon per 2 tablespoons. I'm sorry. Let me correct myself. 1 carb per 2 tablespoons. And I often will mix my homemade mayonnaise into any sauce just to sort of stretch it further and add a little extra fat. But there is that, and I'll be having water with this. Hi, I look like a drowned rat. I'm currently parked at gymnastics. I brought one of the girls to gymnastics and I had a pocket of time where I could go grab groceries, so I seized the moment and I got groceries, and I'm so glad that I did because now it's one less thing to think about tomorrow to try to like figure out, do I do a pickup? Do I just go ahead and take all the girls with me? How do I squeeze all the things in? Anyway, husband is at home with the other kids, so it seemed like the ideal moment to deal with that task. If you have been here for any length of time, then you know I typically don't leave my house without some form of a coffee beverage. And Today is no different. I made a cup of decaf coffee. I put like the tiniest splash of half and half in it. It was my companion for shopping, and there's a little bit left. I'm gonna sit here for the next couple minutes, drink my coffee, collect the child, and my husband made a request for dessert tonight. So I will be making that. I'll show it to you when it's ready to go. For an evening sweet treat, I have made some single-serve chocolate chip cookies. I have a video and a printable recipe on my website on how I make these. Go ahead and check that video out. It'll be right around here in the screen, and I will see you in my next video.